There was a period in time where it felt like the majority of people owned a Nintendo Wii, so it's hard to imagine any Wii game not selling tens of thousands of copies at the bare minimum.
Big Beach Sports, 1.6 million copies. Game Party, 2.5 million copies. Green Lantern, 10 million.
The console sold over 100 million units worldwide. And sure, it may have been outsold by future generations of consoles like the Nintendo Switch or the PlayStation 4, but what was different about the Nintendo Wii was it was the first console to not only KO thousands of TVs across the globe like a pandemic-style event, it was the first console that really appealed to all generations, young or old. Any game that was released on the Wii just had to appeal to one of its several thousands of audiences, right?
Nope.
Let me take you back on a trip to 2009, a time where the most important game that was released was Plants vs Zombies. What if I told you that something more important happened and it flew completely under the Western market, and for good reason? 2009 not only brought us the worst selling Nintendo Wii game of all time, but this Wii game in particular only sold 100 copies in its first 2 weeks. Today, I'll have the privilege of telling you about Sukeban Shachou Rena, aka the Nintendo Wii's biggest disaster. Despite being in its third year since release, 2009 was still a huge year for the Nintendo Wii. We were still getting critically acclaimed games like New Super Mario Bros. Wii, the Metroid Prime Trilogy, and Punch-Out!, and it seemed like great games were forever on the horizon for the Nintendo Wii. It was around this time that game companies were really starting to take notice of these sales figures that the Nintendo Wii was bringing in, and started shuffling shit onto the system quicker than that one video of the lady spinning around and around in a helicopter. One of these said companies was one known as jerbq, who was a video game publisher at the time located in Japan. They started to take notice of a cat-focused Nintendo Wii game that was upcoming and releasing in that same year of 2009, being developed by a small team at Deerfield. The game depicts a cat named Rena, who is in charge of a company called Cat Queen Inc. located in Japan. Here's the cat, by the way, before we go forward. It's on the front cover of the game. I think this is the first time a cat has been relatable in 2023. There was nothing really of value in either of these two video game entities' back catalogs, but what's important to note, and this goes for any aspiring YouTube theorists out there, is that when you go to do research on particular video game companies, and most of their Wikipedia article and their games are in red links, that is one of two red flags. The other red flags is if they have Petz, Hamsters Life 2 in their back catalogue.
Hey guys, jerbq here with a quick Petz Hamsters Life 2 fact. Follow me as I eat this sun lolly and I inform you about the time IGN gave it a 7.5 out of 10. Just to put that into comparison, that is one higher than Pokemon Mystery Dungeon the original. I love IGN.
Needless to say, Deerfield pushed on with development under the watchful eye of jerbq, who went on to publish their game in October 22nd, 2009 to the Japanese market, conveniently on the same day that former Uruguayan dictator Gregorio Alvarez was arrested. So it was a big day for both Uruguay and Japanese gamers. So the game released to Japan and they had a new game to fall in love with. But what exactly was this game all about? In short, it's a series of mini games in the single digits, featuring segments like rhythm-based gaming and one where you have to catch Rena whilst actively avoiding the other cats. In between these mini games, you have cutscenes of your own inserted forced male character, 2 other employees, and Rena the cat. My Japanese is very limited, so I noped out of the conversation as soon as I didn't hear pub
居酒屋
or Tesco meal deal.
テスコミールディール
As I alluded to earlier in this video, the game went on to sell only 100 copies in its first 2 weeks, and both companies decided not to report on any sales data further, which is completely bizarre to me, because if my game only sold 100 copies, I'd want every little last scrapping it got. If next week it sold 5 more, I'd want it to be 105 instead of 100. Some might attribute the poor sales to it only getting an internal release in Japan, but even the Japanese took a massive steaming horse dump on this game, with Famitsu only giving it a 22 out of 40, praising its humor but lack of any content and quality of minigames. Personally, I wouldn't trust a video game critic that gave Pokemon Sun and Moon a 38 out of 40, but I guess we can let it slide and just say Famitsu got old and delusional with their years. Maybe it's because I'm a filthy monolingual beta, but there really wasn't much in this game for me. The most fun I had lasted around a minute when I was trying to catch Rena before I decided, yep, that's enough for me. The critical failure that is Sukeban Shachou Rena was not good for anyone involved. It not only broke the hearts of Japanese cat lovers across the country, but it also looks like it collapsed the developer Deerfield as they haven't released a game since, and it made publisher jerbq have a mental breakdown as they now tweet out Japanese public transport information exclusively. Thank you for joining me on this heartbreaking story. If you want another video of mine to watch, I recommend this video essay I did on Subway Surfers speedrunning scene. It's not as emotional, but I promise you it's just as pointless as the video you just watched. I have a new video coming out within the next 2 weeks, so I'll hopefully see you then. If not, I'm gonna go eat an ice lolly right now, so I'll see you guys.